If you could save 2 lives in a blizzard and that act might prevent a war, would you do it? Even knowing you might pay with your own life. December 1878. Wyoming Territory. 25 degrees below zero. I was about to turn my horse back toward the cabin when I saw shapes in the snow. 2 Apache women, nearly dead. I had 30 seconds to decide. My name is James Harrison, though most folks who remember me call me Gray. The name fits. My hair turned silver at 31 5 years before that frozen night. Not from age, from grief, from the weight of memories that never sleep. I lived alone in a cabin near the Wind River Range, 40 miles from the nearest town, 3 days' ride from Fort Laramie. I chose that isolation deliberately. When you've seen what I've seen, done what I've done, sometimes distance from humanity feels like mercy. On the mantel above my fireplace sat a photograph. Sarah, my wife. Emma, my daughter. 6 years old in the picture, frozen in time with a smile that could melt winter itself. They died in 1873. Typhoid fever. I was away hunting when the fever came. By the time I returned, they were 3 days in the ground. I had grown accustomed to silence, so accustomed that I had forgotten what my own voice sounded like in conversation. I talked to the photograph sometimes, apologized, asked forgiveness. The photograph never answered, but I kept talking anyway. That December morning started like any other. I checked my trap lines in the high country. 6 rabbits, 2 marten, enough to trade in Rock Springs come spring. The sky had that peculiar yellow-gray color that meant snow, big snow, the kind that could bury a man and his horse and not be found until the thaw. I should have headed back hours earlier, but 5 years of solitude had made me careless about my own survival. What did it matter if the snow took me? Who would mourn? Who would notice? The wind picked up as I turned south toward home. Within minutes, visibility dropped to nothing. Snow came sideways, sharp as thrown glass. My horse, a sturdy roan mare named Keeper, knew the way better than I did. I gave her her head and trusted. Then she stopped, just planted her hooves and refused another step. I had learned to trust Keeper's instincts. In 5 years alone, she had warned me of a grizzly, a mountain lion, and once a rock slide that would have crushed us both. When Keeper stopped, there was a reason. I squinted through the storm. At first I saw nothing, just white, endless swirling white, then a darker shape, and another, too small for buffalo, too still for deer. I dismounted. The wind hit me like a fist, cold so intense it burned. I stumbled forward, one hand on Keeper's flank for guidance. 20 feet, 30. Then I saw them clearly. 2 women. Apache from the beadwork on their clothes, though frost covered most of the colors. They lay against a fallen pine tree, half buried in snow. One was older, maybe late 20s. The other, younger, early 20s perhaps. Sisters, I thought. Something in the shape of their faces. I knelt beside the older one, pressed 2 fingers against her throat. For a long moment, nothing. Then a pulse. Faint. Slow. But there. The younger one's lips were blue. Her breathing so shallow I almost missed it. They were dying. Another hour, maybe less, and the storm would finish what it had started. I could have walked away. Should have walked away. Helping them meant danger. Apache in these mountains meant soldiers searching, bounty hunters tracking, violence following close behind like a wolf pack. But I knelt there in the snow, and I thought of Sarah. 5 years ago, lying in our bed, fever burning her from the inside. I had not been there. I had been gone. Hunting. Always hunting. When she needed me most, I had chosen absence. If I left these women, I would be choosing absence again. I stripped off my heavy coat. It was the only warm thing I owned that mattered. I wrapped it around the older woman first, then lifted her. She weighed almost nothing. Starvation, probably. I set her across Keeper's saddle. Then I went back for the younger one, wrapped her in my blanket, lifted her up behind her sister. The wind howled. It sounded like voices, like accusations, like Sarah asking why I had not been there when she needed me. I took Keeper's reins and started walking, leading her through the storm. My shirt froze to my chest within minutes. My hands went numb. I could not feel my feet. Every step felt like the last one I would ever take. But I kept walking. Sarah, I thought, if you can see me now, if you're watching from wherever the dead go, maybe this counts for something. Maybe this balances the scale. The cabin appeared like a miracle through the white. I had walked blind for an hour, trusting Keeper, trusting instinct, trusting something larger than logic. The door had drifted shut with snow. I kicked it open, carried the first woman inside, then the second. I had not lit the fireplace in 3 days, conserving wood. Now I built the biggest fire I had ever made, fed it until the flames roared orange and hot enough to hurt. I stripped the wet clothes from both women, wrapped them in every blanket I owned, rubbed their hands, their feet, trying to force blood back into frozen limbs. The older woman coughed first, a wet rattling sound, but it meant air, it meant life. Her eyelids fluttered. I heated water, made broth from dried venison, held the cup to her lips. She drank, small sips. Her eyes opened. She looked at me, not with fear, with assessment, like a general studying an enemy position. In a voice weak but clear speaking English, she asked, "Why did you save us?" "Because I couldn't not." "You made a mistake." I frowned. "Saving lives is a mistake. When those lives are ours, yes, you're in danger now." I sat back. Outside, the blizzard screamed against the cabin walls. Inside, the fire crackled. The younger woman stirred but did not wake. "Before we talk about danger," I said, "let's talk about living through the night." I ladled more broth, offered bread I had baked 3 days ago. The older woman took both. She ate like someone who had not seen food in too long, but her eyes never left mine, measuring, calculating. The younger woman woke suddenly, gasped. Her eyes found the fire first, then her sister, then me. She said something rapid in Apache. The older woman answered. Their conversation was quick, tense. Then the younger one looked at me and whispered a single word in English. "Thank you." Something in my chest, frozen for 5 years, cracked slightly. I noticed the younger one shivering harder than her sister. I went to the small trunk where I kept Sarah's things, items I had never been able to burn or bury. I pulled out a wool sweater, Emma's. She had been wearing it the week before she died. I offered it to the younger woman. She looked at it, then at me. She understood what it meant, what it cost to offer something so precious. Softly in Apache, she said, "Pilamaya." I knew that word. Thank you. Running Deer had taught me. Running Deer, my Apache friend. The man who had saved my life 8 years ago. The man I thought had died in a raid 5 years back. I nodded. She pulled the sweater on. It was too large, but it was warm. The older woman tried to stand, moved too fast. Her legs buckled. I caught her before she hit the floor. "Easy," I said. "The storm isn't chasing you anymore." She looked up at me, startled. "You know we were being chased. People don't end up dying in a blizzard 50 miles from anywhere by accident." A small, bitter smile touched her lips. Then the younger one tried to drink the broth. Her hands shook so badly she spilled it. Hot liquid splashed across the floor. "Let me help," I said. She looked ashamed. "I'm not a child." "I know, but even warriors need help sometimes." I spooned broth to her lips. She drank. Her sister watched. Something in her expression softened by a fraction. I found myself staring into the fire, speaking without meaning to. The words just came. 5 years. 5 years since I talked to anyone. Maybe I needed saving too. The older woman studied me with new interest. We sat in silence. The storm raged outside. The fire burned. For the first time in 5 years, my cabin held more than ghosts. After a while, the older woman spoke again. "My name is Ayana. My sister is Kaya. We are daughters of Chief Nantan. Nantan. The name struck like a bell. I knew it. Everyone in Wyoming knew it. The Apache chief who had refused to sign the Fort Robinson Treaty, who had kept his people free when others had surrendered. A man of honor in a time when honor was rare. Nantan, I repeated. He's the only chief who refused to surrender. He was a man of honor. Ayana's voice broke slightly on the past tense. He died 3 days ago, before we could leave. Kaya's eyes filled with tears. She looked away. I felt the weight of that loss. Not personally. I had never met the man. But I understood what it meant when the good ones died, when the world lost someone who stood for something larger than himself. I'm sorry, I said. And I meant it. Ayana reached into her clothing, pulled out a leather pouch. From the pouch she withdrew a rolled piece of tanned hide, opened it. I saw writing in both Apache and English. This is my father's last testament, his final offer of peace. There is a conference at Fort Laramie on December 15th, 7 days from now. If this letter reaches that conference, it might prevent a war. I looked at the document. Even in the firelight, I could see the care taken, the precise letters, the seal at the bottom. Why would soldiers want to prevent you from delivering a peace offer? They don't, but others do. A man named Jacob Marsh wants our land. There is copper beneath it, millions of dollars in copper. If there is peace, he cannot take it. If there is war, the government will seize our land, and Marsh will buy it for pennies. My jaw tightened. I had seen this pattern before. Land, resources, money. Always the same story, different names, same greed. How far is Fort Laramie from here? 130 miles, 5 days hard ride, maybe 6 in this weather. I did the calculation. It was possible, barely. Kaya looked at me. Her eyes held something I had not seen in another person's face in 5 years. Hope. You don't have to do this, she said. You've already saved our lives. I looked at the photograph of Sarah and Emma. Sarah had always said kindness was not weakness. I had forgotten that, buried it with her, but maybe, just maybe, I could remember. Tomorrow, I said, when the storm clears, we ride for Fort Laramie, all 3 of us. Ayana and Kaya looked at each other. Some unspoken conversation passed between them. Then Ayana nodded. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, James Harrison, but people call me Gray. Gray. Ayana tested the name. For your hair. For a lot of things. We settled into silence. Outside, the storm battered the cabin. Inside, for the first time in 5 years, I felt something almost like warmth. Not from the fire, from something harder to name. Then from far away, barely audible over the wind, came the howl of wolves, or something that sounded like wolves. All 3 of us turned toward the window. Kaya whispered, "The night is listening." I stood slowly, checked my rifle, made sure it was loaded, because whatever was out there in the storm, it was not the wind, and it was getting closer. 15 miles south in a makeshift camp, Victor Malone sat by a small fire. 40 years old, scarred face, cold eyes that had seen too much and felt too little. He held a wanted poster. The poster showed rough sketches of 2 Apache women. Below the images, bold letters, Wanted, Ayana and Kaya, daughters of Chief Nantan, $5,000, dead or alive. One of his men, younger and nervous, said, "Boss, this storm, maybe they're already dead." Vic looked up. His voice came out flat, empty of anything human. "Dead we get 2,000, alive we get 5. Either way I get paid, but I want 5,000. Why not just let them freeze?" Vic smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Because Jacob Marsh is paying me to make sure they never reach Fort Laramie. Dead in the snow is luck. I don't trust luck." He spread a map across his knee, marked 3 passes through the mountains: Wind River Pass, South Pass, Devil's Gap. We split into 3 groups, watch all 3 routes. Anyone sees them fire a signal shot. He looked around at his 11 men, hard men, killers, men who did not ask questions when money was involved. I don't care who they're with. I don't care who gets in the way. We will have them, alive or dead, but preferably alive. $5,000 buys a lot of forgiveness. The men nodded. They understood. This was not about justice, not about right or wrong. This was business, and business was simple. Back at the cabin, the 3 of us sat by the fire. No one spoke. We listened to the storm, listened to the night, listened to whatever was moving out there beyond the walls. Gray looked at both women. We have until morning to rest. After that, we face whatever is waiting for us out there. Ayanna met his eyes. Something passed between them. Not trust. Not yet. But the beginning of it. The seed of something that might grow, if given time. Kaya pulled the sweater tighter. Emma's sweater. She looked at Gray and said softly, "You're not alone anymore, Gray. We're here now." For just a moment, something in Gray's face changed. The hardness cracked, just slightly, just enough to let a little light through. Outside, a shadow moved past the window. Fast, silent, neither man nor wolf, but something in between, something watching, something waiting. And in that moment, all 3 of them knew the storm outside was nothing compared to what was coming. The real test had not even begun. Saving 2 lives in a blizzard had been the easy part. Keeping them alive long enough to reach Fort Laramie would require something more than courage. It would require sacrifice, blood, and perhaps in the end, everything Gray had left to give. But for tonight, they had fire, they had shelter, they had each other. And sometimes in the frozen heart of Wyoming winter, that was enough. Tomorrow would bring its own trials. Tonight, they would rest. And outside, the night continued its patient vigil, watching, waiting, hungry for what the dawn would bring. Dawn broke cold and clear, the kind of clarity that comes after storms when the world looks scrubbed clean and new. But clarity in winter is deceptive. It shows you exactly how far you have to go, and exactly how much can kill you along the way. I woke before the women. Old habits. Soldier habits. I had not been a soldier in 10 years, but the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. I built up the fire, checked our supplies. 3 horses would need 3 times the food. We had enough for 5 days if we rationed carefully. If we did not ration, we had 3 days. After that, we would be eating bark and hope. Ayanna woke second. She sat up slowly, testing her body, checking for damage. She moved like a fighter, careful, controlled, nothing wasted. "How do you feel?" I asked. "Like I was left to die in a blizzard." She said it without self-pity, just fact. "But I'm alive. That's more than I expected yesterday." Kaya stirred, opened her eyes. For a moment she looked confused. Then memory returned. She looked at me and smiled. It was a small smile, fragile, but real. "Good morning, Gray." "Morning, Kaya." I had prepared oatmeal, not fancy, but hot and filling. I served it in wooden bowls. We ate in silence. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The temperature would rise, maybe to 10 degrees, maybe 15, still cold enough to kill, but survivable if we moved smart. After breakfast, I went to prepare the horses. I had my mare Keeper, and 2 horses I had acquired from a trader 2 years back. Strong animals, built for mountain winters. I saddled all 3, loaded saddlebags with food, ammunition, blankets, everything we might need. Ayanna and Kaya dressed in men's clothes I provided. Old shirts, canvas pants, heavy coats, not perfect disguises, but at a distance they might pass for young men. It was the best we could do. Kaya looked at herself. "Do I look like a man?" I considered her seriously. "You look like a very handsome 15-year-old boy." She laughed, a real laugh. The sound surprised all of us. When had any of us last laughed? When had the world last felt light enough for laughter? But Ayanna did not laugh. Her face remained serious. If we are caught, we will not survive. You understand this, Gray? I understand. Then why are you doing this? I did not have a good answer. Or maybe I had too many answers. Because it was right. Because Sarah would have wanted me to. Because I was tired of being alone. Because 5 years of running from my past had not made it any smaller. Because maybe, just maybe, this was the first step toward something that looked like redemption. Because I can't not do it, I said finally. Same as last night. Ayanna studied me, then nodded once. Then let's not be caught. We mounted up. Keeper carried me. Ayanna took the gray gelding, Kaya the smaller bay mare. We rode east into the rising sun. The snow lay 3 feet deep in places. The horses struggled, but they were strong. They pushed through. 5 miles out, as we crossed a frozen creek, I heard something, not loud, just a whisper of sound that did not belong. I raised my hand. We stopped. Ayanna heard it too. Someone is following. I scanned the tree line, saw nothing. But that meant nothing. A good tracker could be invisible at 50 yards, and whoever was following us was good. Then from the trees ahead a figure stepped out. My hand went to my rifle, but the figure raised both hands, palms out, universal sign for peace. He was Apache, maybe mid-40s, lean and weathered like old leather. He wore traditional clothing mixed with cavalry pants. His face was familiar, impossibly familiar. I stared. My mind refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. Running deer. The Apache man smiled. Gray Harrison, 8 years since I saw you last. I dismounted, crossed the snow between us. For a moment we just looked at each other. Then we clasped forearms. The old greeting, the soldier's greeting, the friend's greeting. I thought you were dead, I said. My voice came out rough. Dead is easy. Living is hard. He looked past me at Ayanna and Kaya. Recognition crossed his face. Daughters of Nantan, your father was my friend. Ayanna's hand stayed near her knife. You have been following us. Since last night, I watched Gray save you. A white man showing kindness is rare. I had to make sure he did not die for it. That was running deer, always thinking 3 moves ahead, always seeing what others missed. You are not the only one following, he said. His voice dropped. 3 men, maybe half a mile behind. They are not friendly. Before I could respond, a gunshot cracked through the morning air. The bullet hit a tree 2 feet from Kaya's head. Bark exploded. The horses spooked. Kaya's mare reared. She kept her seat. Barely. Move! I shouted. We spurred the horses forward, into the trees. More shots. I heard the whistle of bullets. Felt the air pressure as one passed too close to my ear. Running deer was already ahead of us. He knew this country. We followed. Behind us, men shouted. 3 voices. Maybe 4. Hard to tell over the sound of hooves and gunfire. Running deer led us through a narrow gap between 2 rock faces, barely wide enough for horses. On the other side, a small clearing. He pointed to a fallen log. Cover. We dismounted. I pulled my Winchester. Ayanna had a knife, just a knife, but the way she held it told me she knew how to use it. Kaya drew a small bow from her saddle. Where had that come from? I had not seen her pack it. The first man came through the gap. I fired, caught him in the shoulder. He spun and fell, not dead, but out of the fight. The second man came through firing. Ayanna moved, fast as a snake. She threw her knife. It spun through the air, buried itself in his forearm. He dropped his gun, screamed. The third man tried to shoot from horseback. Kaya's arrow took him in the thigh. He fell off his horse, landed hard, did not get up. Silence, except for the groaning of wounded men and the nervous breathing of horses. Running deer moved forward, checked the men, disarmed them, came back. They will live, but they will not follow. I looked at Ayanna. She had already retrieved her knife, cleaned the blood on snow. Her face showed nothing. No fear, no guilt. Just cold competence. "You know how to fight," I said. "You thought the daughter of an Apache chief only knows how to sew." "I didn't think about it. Most white men don't." She said it without anger, just observation. "My father trained me since I was 8. How to track, how to hunt, how to fight, how to survive." Kaya retrieved her arrow. She looked shaken but steady. "We need to move. More will come." Running Deer nodded. "She is right. These 3 were scouts. The main group will be waiting ahead." "How many?" I asked. I saw tracks. 9, maybe 10, led by a man named Victor Malone. The name meant nothing to me, but Ayana's face tightened. "Malone, the bounty hunter. You know him." "I know his reputation. He has never failed to collect a bounty. Dead or alive, he does not care." Running Deer gestured to a different trail, narrower, steeper. "This way, the old path. My ancestors used it 300 years ago. It is hard, but they will not know it." We mounted again, followed Running Deer into the high country. The trail climbed, switchbacks so tight the horses had to angle themselves. On one side, rock wall. On the other, nothing. Just a 200-foot drop into a ravine. Kaya's horse slipped on ice. For a terrible moment I thought she was going over. I spurred Keeper forward, grabbed the mare's bridle, held her steady until she found footing again. Kaya looked at me. Her face had gone white. "Thank you. We survive together, or we die together." It was the truest thing I had said in 5 years. We climbed for 2 hours, finally reached the top of the pass. A small plateau, maybe 100 yards across. A frozen stream ran through it. Trees provided some shelter from the wind. "We rest here," Running Deer said. 1 hour. The horses need it." We dismounted, let the horses drink from the stream. I found a fallen log, sat. Every muscle ached. 5 years alone had not prepared me for this, for action, for running, for mattering. Ayana sat beside me, not close, but not distant either, a careful middle distance. "Running Deer said you saved his life 8 years ago." I nodded. "Grizzly bear, came out of nowhere. I was hunting, heard screaming, found Running Deer trapped in a deadfall with a bear trying to get at him. I shot the bear, pulled him out. And he saved yours. Same day. The bear wasn't dead, just angry. It came back. Would have killed me. Running Deer put 2 arrows in its heart while I was reloading." Ayana was quiet for a moment. "That is why he helps us. Because you helped him." "That's part of it. What is the other part?" I looked at her, really looked at her. Past the dirt and exhaustion. Past the warrior's face she wore like armor. I saw someone who had lost her father, who carried the weight of her people's future, who was tired and scared and trying not to show it. "The other part," I said, "is that he is a good man, and good men help when they can." Something in her face softened. Just a fraction. But I saw it. Kaya joined us. She carried a small pouch. From it, she pulled dried herbs, mixed them with snow melt, created a paste. She approached me. "You are wounded." I touched my face. My fingers came away with blood. I had not even noticed. The bullet that passed close had grazed my cheek, not deep, but bleeding. Kaya applied the paste gently. It stung, then went numb. Whatever was in those herbs worked fast. "You are not afraid of us?" she asked quietly. "Afraid of what?" "Afraid of Apache. Most white men are." "I'm afraid, but not of you. I'm afraid of myself, afraid I'm not good enough to protect you." Kaya smiled. "Then we will protect you. Fair trade." Running Deer sat across from us. He was carving something from a piece of wood. His hands moved with practiced ease. "A strange family," he said, not looking up, "but better than no family." All four of us smiled, even Ayanna. For just a moment sitting on that frozen plateau, we were not fugitives, not strangers, just people sharing warmth and food and something that felt almost like belonging. But the moment could not last. Reality had teeth, and it was hunting us. Running Deer looked up. His eyes went distant, listening to something the rest of us could not hear. 3 more coming. From the east. Not the ones we fought. These are different. I stood, checked my rifle. Friends or enemies? Neither. Apache. From our tribe. But young warriors. The ones who want war, not peace. Ayanna stood too. Her face had gone hard again. Kuruk. You know him. He loved my father, but he hated my father's dream of peace. He thinks peace is weakness. The 3 riders appeared. Young men, maybe mid-20s, hard faces, angry eyes. They saw us and stopped. The leader dismounted, tall, strong, handsome in a cruel way. He spoke in Apache. Running Deer translated. He says Ayanna and Kaya are traitors, that Chief Nantan was weak, that the tribe needs war, not peace. Ayanna answered in Apache. Her voice was steel. Running Deer translated. She says this letter is her father's last wish, his final gift to the people. She will honor it. Kuruk spat, responded. Running Deer's face darkened as he translated. He says she can honor it by coming back, by marrying him. He will become chief. She will be his wife. Together they will lead the people to war. And if she refuses? I asked. Running Deer did not need to translate. Kuruk's hand went to his knife. The answer was clear. Ayanna drew her knife. Kuruk smiled. They circled each other. The 2 other warriors watched, made no move to interfere. This was between Kuruk and Ayanna. Old law. Personal challenge. Kuruk struck first, fast. Ayanna was faster. She deflected, spun. Her blade flickered. Kuruk stepped back. Blood ran down his arm. Not deep, but first blood, first point. They circled again. Kuruk attacked with more fury. Ayanna met him. Steel rang on steel. They broke apart. Kuruk was breathing hard. Ayanna looked calm, centered, like this was meditation, not combat. Kuruk lunged, overcommitted. Ayanna sidestepped, swept his legs. He went down hard. Before he could rise, Ayanna was on him, knife at his throat. One quick cut would end it, but she did not cut. She held the blade there, let him feel it, let him understand how close death was. Then she stepped back, lowered the blade. Killing you proves nothing, she said in English. Kuruk understood. Mercy is true strength. Kaya stepped forward, placed her hand on Kuruk's shoulder. He flinched, but did not pull away. She looked into his eyes. You see war in our future. I see something else. I see children growing up without knowing blood and tears. That is true strength. Give them that chance. Kuruk's face twisted, pride and shame warring. Finally he spoke. Running Deer translated. Your father was the best man I knew. If he believed in peace, perhaps I am wrong. He stood, looked at his 2 companions. They nodded. Understanding passed between them. We will return. We will tell the tribe you are doing the right thing. Kuruk mounted his horse. Before leaving, he looked at Ayanna one more time. Something complicated in his eyes. Regret, respect, loss. Then they rode away, back the way they came. We stood in silence, processing what had just happened. How close we had come to violence. How Ayanna's mercy had turned an enemy into, if not an ally, at least not an active threat. That was well done, Running Deer said. Ayanna cleaned her knife. He was a friend once, before anger took him. Maybe he can find his way back. We mounted up again, continued along the narrow path. Behind us, Devil's Canyon. Ahead, the open valley. And beyond that, Rock Springs. 15 miles. We could reach it before sunset if we pushed. But Rock Springs meant civilization, and civilization meant Jacob Marsh, the man who wanted us dead, the man who had put $5,000 on Ayanna and Kaya's heads. As we rode, Running Deer told us what he knew. Jacob Marsh owned the copper mine in Rock Springs, a rich man, a powerful man, a man who had bought judges and lawmen and politicians. He discovered copper on Apache land, millions of dollars worth, but he cannot mine it while the Apache remain. If there is war, the government will seize the land. Marsh will buy it cheap. Your father's peace letter threatens everything. So he hired Victor Malone, I said. Yes, Malone and 12 men, maybe more now. The math was simple. 4 of us, 15 of them. Bad odds. But we had been dealing with bad odds since the beginning. One more impossible situation made no difference. The sun dropped toward the horizon. The temperature fell with it. We rode faster, trying to reach Rock Springs before dark, before the temperature dropped low enough to freeze us in our saddles. Finally we saw smoke, chimneys. The town appeared like a collection of toys, small houses, one general store, one saloon, one large building with a sign, Marsh Mining Company. We stopped on the ridge overlooking the town. Rock Springs, Running Deer said, 200 people, most of them good, some of them not, and one of them very dangerous. Do we ride in? Ayanna asked. I considered. We need supplies, fresh horses, information. We have no choice. Then we ride in carefully. We descended the ridge as the sun touched the mountains. In that last golden light, we entered Rock Springs. 4 strangers, riding into a town that belonged to the man who wanted 2 of us dead. But we rode with our heads high, because sometimes courage is not about being unafraid. Sometimes courage is about being terrified and doing it anyway. And whatever waited for us in Rock Springs, we would face it together, as this strange family Running Deer had named, bound not by blood, but by choice, by mercy, by the simple decision to stand for something larger than ourselves. The sky turned red as blood, the temperature dropped, and somewhere in that little town, danger waited with patient, hungry eyes. But we had come too far to stop now. Fort Laramie lay 90 miles east, 4 days if everything went right. We had made it this far. We would make it the rest of the way, or die trying. And honestly, dying while trying to do something good seemed like a better death than I had earned. Better than dying alone in a cabin talking to ghosts waiting for winter to take me. So we rode into Rock Springs, into the unknown, into whatever fate had prepared, together, and that made all the difference. The main street of Rock Springs was a study in contrasts. Fresh snow covered everything in white innocence, but the buildings showed years of hard living. Warped wood, cracked windows, the kind of wear that comes from people too tired to care about appearances. Survival takes all your energy. Beauty is a luxury for easier times. We rode slowly, kept our heads down but not too far down. Too much hiding draws attention just as much as too much boldness. We were 3 men and 1 Apache guide. That was the story. That was what people needed to see. The street was mostly empty. Late afternoon in December meant most folks stayed inside where fires burned and cold stayed out. A few faces appeared in windows, watched us pass. Curious but not alarmed. Not yet. I guided us toward the general store. Whitmore General Store according to the faded sign. It looked older than the other buildings, more solid, like it had been here first and the town had grown around it. We tied the horses. I went in first. A bell above the door announced my entrance. The interior was dim, warm, smelled of coffee and tobacco and old wood. Shelves lined the walls, canned goods, fabric, tools, everything a frontier town might need. Behind the counter stood an old man, late 60s, maybe 70, white hair, kind eyes, the kind of eyes that have seen everything and chosen to remain kind anyway. That takes strength, more strength than most people have. "Help you, son." His voice was rough but friendly. "Need supplies, food for 4 people 3 days, and a new saddle blanket if you have one." He nodded. Started gathering items. Moved slowly but efficiently. You boys traveling far? Just passing through. Lot of folks passing through lately, all heading east. Wonder what's so interesting to the east. It was a test, a gentle one. He was measuring me. I met his eyes. Same thing that's always interesting. Tomorrow. He smiled slightly. Fair answer. He paused. Your friends outside. They, Apache. No point lying. He had already seen. One is, guide, knows the country. Apache guide for white men. Interesting times. He set canned goods on the counter. That'll be $4. I paid. As he wrapped the items, he said quietly, There's talk in town about 2 Apache women, daughters of that chief who just died, Nantan. Big reward for them. $5,000. I kept my face neutral. That's so? Yep. Man named Jacob Marsh posted it. He owns the mine, owns half the town, owns the marshal too, some say. He looked at me directly. Course, some of us don't think that reward is justice. Some of us think it's murder with paperwork. And which are you? I'm a man who's tired of Jacob Marsh deciding what's right and wrong in my town. He pushed the package across the counter. Name's Sam Whitmore. I've been here 30 years. Was here before Marsh. Hope to be here after he's gone. Before I could respond, a woman emerged from the back room. Same age as Sam. Silver hair pulled into a bun, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She looked at me, then passed me out the window at Ayanna and Kaya. Sam, those girls outside. They need tending. Ruth, don't. Don't what? Don't have eyes, don't have a conscience. She moved past him, opened the door, called out, Young lady, you're hurt. Come inside. Kaya looked at Ayanna. Ayanna hesitated, but Ruth's face showed nothing but concern. Genuine concern. The kind you cannot fake. Kaya dismounted, came inside. Ruth took one look at her and said, Back room, now. Ayanna followed her sister. I followed both. Running Deer stayed with the horses. Someone had to. In the back room, Ruth lit more lamps. The light revealed what the dim store had hidden. Kaya had a cut on her arm, not deep but infected, probably from the fight this morning. In the chaos, none of us had noticed. Ruth gathered water, clean cloth, something that smelled sharp and medicinal. She worked in silence, cleaned the wound, applied ointment, bandaged it properly. How long has this been hurting? Ruth asked. Since this morning. And you said nothing. We had to keep moving. Ruth shook her head. Brave and foolish, common combination in the young. She finished bandaging, looked up at both sisters. You're the ones they're hunting, Nantan's daughters. It was not a question. Ayanna's hand moved toward her knife. Ruth saw it, did not flinch. Put that away, child. If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't waste medicine on you. Sam appeared in the doorway. Ruth, we shouldn't get involved. We're already involved. The moment they walked in, we were involved. That's how conscience works, Sam. It doesn't give you a choice. Sam looked at me, at the women, finally sighed. How much trouble are we talking about? The kind that comes with a $5,000 price tag, I said. And Jacob Marsh. And Victor Malone. Sam whistled low. You don't think small, do you? Didn't ask for any of this. Never do. He closed the door, locked it. Tell me what you need. So we told him. The whole story. The blizzard, the rescue, the letter, the peace conference, Fort Laramie, 4 days away, and every mile between here and there filled with men who wanted us dead. When we finished, Sam and Ruth exchanged a long look, the kind of look people share after 40 years of marriage. A whole conversation in silence. Finally, Sam said, Marsh has been poisoning this town for 10 years. Came in promising jobs, prosperity. Instead, he brought low wages and dangerous conditions. 3 men died in his mine last year. He paid their widows $50 and told them to be grateful. Ruth added, he doesn't care about anything except money. If peace happens, he loses his chance at that Apache copper, so he'll do anything to stop it. Including murder, I said. especially murder. He just calls it something else. Sam moved to the window, looked out at the street. There's 20 men in this town who hate Marsh. Good men, tired of being afraid. If you need help, I can gather them. We can't ask you to risk yourselves, Ayanna said. Her English was good, better than I had realized. This is not your fight. Ruth took Ayanna's hand. Child, when a powerful man tries to murder innocents for money, it becomes everyone's fight. The only question is whether we have the courage to stand up. Before anyone could respond, the bell above the front door rang. Sam moved quickly, positioned himself between us and whoever had entered. Through the crack in the door I saw who it was. Victor Malone. He was everything I had imagined. Hard face, cold eyes, 2 guns on his belt and a rifle over his shoulder. He moved like a predator, confident, certain of his place at the top of the food chain. Afternoon, Sam. Vic. Seen any strangers come through? 3 men and an Apache, maybe. Lots of folks passing through. Winter drives people to strange places. These ones are special, worth $5,000 special. Vic leaned on the counter. Now I know you're a good citizen, Sam. Good citizens help the law. You're not the law. I'm the closest thing to it when there's money involved. Vic smiled. It was not pleasant. Tell you what, anyone helps me find those Apache girls, I'll give them $500. That's a lot of money, Sam. Enough to fix this place up real nice. Not interested in blood money. Vic's smile faded. Everyone's interested in money, Sam. It's just a question of price. He turned, scanned the store. His eyes lingered on the back room door. For a terrible moment I thought he would push through, thought we would have to fight right here. But then he turned back to Sam. You see anything, you let me know. I'll be at the saloon. He paused at the door. By the way, Jacob Marsh wanted me to remind everyone. He owns this town, he owns the mine, he owns most of the land around here. People who forget that tend to have accidents. The door closed. The bell rang. Silence. Sam exhaled slowly. That was closer than I like. He suspects, I said. He suspects everyone. But he doesn't know. Not yet. Ruth looked at Ayanna and Kaya. You need to leave, tonight, before he figures it out. We need rest. The horses need rest. Then rest here. Sam and I have a barn behind the store. You can sleep there, hidden. We'll bring food. Why are you doing this? Kaya asked. You don't know us. Ruth cupped Kaya's face gently. I don't need to know you to know right from wrong. And this what Marsh is doing, it's wrong. Simple as that. We moved the horses to the barn under cover of dusk. The barn was old but solid, warm with animal heat. We made beds in the hayloft. Ruth brought stew and bread, real food, hot food. The first proper meal we had eaten in days. As we ate, Sam came up the ladder. He carried a bundle wrapped in oilcloth, unwrapped it. Inside were rifles, 6 of them, and boxes of ammunition. I wasn't always a shopkeeper, he said. Used to be cavalry, long time ago, before I got smart and married Ruth. He showed me the rifles, good weapons, well maintained. If you need them, they're yours. We can't pay for these. Not asking you to. I'm investing in something more valuable than money. I'm investing in doing the right thing. I'm too old to worry about consequences anymore. Running Deer examined one of the rifles, nodded approval. These are good weapons. You know how to use them. Sam smiled. Son, I killed my first man before you were born. Don't let the white hair fool you. I remember how. Ayanna stood, faced Sam directly. If we accept this help, we put you in danger. Marsh will know. Vic will know. They will come for you. Let them come. I'm tired of being afraid. Tired of watching that man poison everything he touches. This town deserves better. Maybe helping you is how we start getting better. Something passed between Ayanna and Sam. Understanding, respect. the recognition of courage when you see it in another person. "Thank you," she said simply. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you make it to Fort Laramie." Sam climbed back down the ladder. We finished eating in silence. The barn was quiet except for the sound of horses and the wind outside. For the first time in days, I felt something almost like safety. Kaya fell asleep first, exhaustion finally claiming her. Ayanna stayed awake, sat by the small window looking out at the town. I joined her. "You should sleep," I said. "So should you." "Can't. Too much thinking." "About what?" "About how we're going to get past Vic and his men. About how many more fights we'll have before Fort Laramie. About whether Sam and Ruth will be okay after we leave." Ayanna nodded. "I think about the same things. Plus, one more." "What's that?" "I think about you." I looked at her, surprised. "I have spent my life hating white men," she said. "Hating what they did to my people, what they took from us, what they destroyed, and I was right to hate. The hate was earned. But then I meet you, a white man who could have walked away, who should have walked away, who had every reason to leave us in that snow, but you didn't. You risked everything, for strangers, for enemies by some definitions." She turned to face me. "You have changed something in me, Gray. Made me see that hate is not the whole answer, that some men, regardless of skin color, choose to be better than they have to be." I did not know what to say, so I said nothing, just sat with her in that quiet barn watching the stars through the window, feeling the weight of her words settle into something that felt almost like hope. Running Deer woke us before dawn. "Horses are ready. Sam packed food. We should go now before the town wakes." We climbed down from the loft. Sam and Ruth waited below. Ruth handed Kaya a small package. "Medicine, in case the wound troubles you again." Sam gave me a piece of paper. "Map to Fort Laramie, marked with safe places to camp, and this." He handed me a badge, a deputy marshal badge. "Belonged to my son. He died 10 years ago. Cholera. You wear it, people might think twice before shooting at you." I held the badge, felt its weight. "I can't take this." "You can, and you will. My son would want it protecting someone worth protecting." Ruth hugged Kaya, then Ayanna. "You girls be careful, and when you get to Fort Laramie you make sure they listen. Make sure his death meant something." "We will," Ayanna promised. We mounted. The sky was turning gray. Dawn was close. We needed to be gone before light revealed us. But as we rode toward the edge of town, a figure stepped into the street. Then another. Then another. Men, 20 of them, standing in a line across the road. I tensed, reached for my rifle. Then Sam stepped forward from the group. "These are my friends. They want to help." A younger man, maybe 40, stepped up. "Name's Cole. I worked Marsh's mine for 5 years. Watched good men die for his greed. If there's a chance to hurt him, I'm taking it." Another man. "I'm Thomas. Marsh owns my debt. I'll never be free of him, but I can still choose to do right." One by one they introduced themselves. Miners, farmers, shopkeepers, men tired of being afraid, men ready to stand. "We can't fight Vic Malone and 12 men," I said. Sam smiled. "No, but 24 of us might have a chance." "You would do this? Risk everything?" "Son," Sam said, "we're not risking everything. We're risking one thing, our lives. And if we can't risk our lives for something good, then what are our lives worth anyway?" I looked at Ayanna, at Kaya, at Running Deer, at these 20 men standing in the cold dawn choosing courage over safety. "Then we ride together," I said. And so we did. 24 people, 4 fugitives and 20 volunteers, riding east toward Fort Laramie, toward whatever waited, toward justice or death or something in between. Behind us, Rock Springs slept. But in one building, a light burned. Jacob Marsh stood at his window, watched us leave. And even from a distance I could feel his hatred, could feel his rage at losing control. He would send Vic after us. He would use every resource, every hired gun, every ounce of his wealth and power to stop us. But we had something he did not. We had people willing to stand for something larger than themselves, willing to fight not for money, but for principle. And that I was learning made all the difference. The sun rose red and gold behind us. We rode into it, 24 souls, united by choice, bound by courage, heading toward a reckoning none of us could avoid. Fort Laramie was 80 miles away. 3 days hard ride. 3 days for everything to go right, or 3 days for everything to go wrong. But we would face it together. This strange family, this impossible alliance, these ordinary people choosing to be extraordinary. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. We rode hard through the morning, 24 riders moving east like a small army, which I supposed was exactly what we had become, an army of shopkeepers and miners and farmers, an army without training or experience, but an army nonetheless. The land opened up before us. The mountains fell away behind. Ahead lay rolling plains covered in snow, beautiful in the way dangerous things can be beautiful. Open ground meant visibility. No cover. Nowhere to hide if trouble came. And trouble would come. I knew that as certainly as I knew the sun would set tonight. We rode in formation. Sam and I at the front with running deer. Ayanna and Kaya in the middle protected by the main group. Cole and Thomas at the rear watching our back trail. Military formation, Sam's cavalry training showing through. Around midday we stopped to rest the horses, let them drink from a half-frozen stream. The men gathered in small groups, talking quietly, checking weapons, the nervous energy of men preparing for violence they hoped would not come. Sam pulled me aside. We're being followed. How many? Can't tell. They're staying far back, but running deer spotted dust on the horizon. Riders. Maybe 6, maybe more. Vic's scouts. Probably. Watching, waiting to see where we go. How many we are. Sam checked his rifle. They'll report back to Vic, then he'll come with everything he has. How long? Tomorrow. Maybe sooner if they push through the night. I looked at our group. Good men, brave men, but not fighters, not really. A few had military experience like Sam. Most did not. They were civilians playing at being soldiers. And when the real soldiers came, when men like Vic Malone who killed for money showed up, what would happen? Ayanna approached. She had been teaching some of the men basic tactics, how to reload faster, how to aim in wind, small things that might save lives. They are learning, she said, not fast enough, but learning. Will it be enough? It will have to be. She looked at the eastern horizon. How far to Fort Laramie? 60 miles, 2 days. Can we make it in one? If we kill the horses, maybe. But then we arrive unable to fight if we need to. She nodded, understanding the calculation. Speed versus strength. Arrival versus survival. Kaya joined us. She had been walking among the men, talking to them. I noticed they responded to her differently than to me or Sam. She had a gentleness that put them at ease, made them feel less afraid. They are good men, she said. Scared, but good. Being scared is smart, I said. Means they understand what's coming. Do you understand what's coming? I looked at her, those dark eyes that saw too much. I understand that people are going to die. Maybe me, maybe you, maybe all of us. I understand that we're riding into something we might not ride out of. And yet you ride anyway. Because the alternative is worse. The alternative is living with knowing I could have helped and didn't. I already lived with that once, with Sarah and Emma. I won't do it again. Kaya reached out, touched my arm. You are a good man, Gray Harrison. Better than you think you are. Before I could respond, Running Deer whistled. A sharp sound. Warning. Everyone froze. Hands went to weapons. Eyes scanned the horizon. Running Deer pointed north. Riders, 8. Coming fast. Vic, Sam asked. No. Apache. My stomach dropped. More of Kuruk's warriors. Come to finish what their leader had started, but as the riders came closer, I saw Running Deer relax slightly. Not warriors, elders, and they carry the peace staff. The 8 Apache riders approached slowly, deliberately, giving us time to see they meant no harm. At the front rode an old man, maybe 70. His face was a map of lines and weathered skin. Beside him a woman equally old. Behind them 6 more, all elderly, all showing the marks of long lives hard lived. They stopped 30 feet away. The old man raised his hand, peace gesture. Running Deer rode forward, spoke in Apache. The conversation was quick. Then Running Deer turned back to us. "This is Red Skywalker, elder of the Mescalero Apache. He has come to help." Red Skywalker spoke. His voice was strong despite his age. Running Deer translated. "He says Chief Nantan was his friend, that he knew Nantan wanted peace, that when Kuruk returned and told the tribe what you are doing, Red Skywalker gathered these elders. They have come to witness, to protect, to ensure the peace letter reaches Fort Laramie." Ayanna dismounted, walked to Red Skywalker. They spoke in Apache. He reached out, placed his hand on her head. Blessing, or maybe acknowledgement. When he pulled back, there were tears on Ayanna's face. Red Skywalker spoke again. Running Deer translated. "He says you honor your father's memory, that the ancestors watch you, that your courage gives hope to those who have none." The old man looked at me. "And he says the white man who saved his chief's daughters has earned the respect of the Apache people, that you are welcome among them, that you are brother." Something in my chest cracked. After 10 years of carrying guilt, of believing I was beyond redemption, to hear those words, brother, welcome, it was almost too much. Red Skywalker dismounted with difficulty. Age had stiffened his joints. He approached me, looked up into my face. Then he did something I did not expect. He took the deputy badge from my shirt, looked at it, nodded, pinned it back on. Through Running Deer, he said, "This badge means you serve justice. Justice is not owned by one people. It belongs to all. You serve it well, brother." Our group had grown, from 4 to 24, now to 32. An impossible coalition, white and Apache, young and old, men and women, united by one thing, the belief that peace was worth fighting for. We rode on. The elders took positions throughout the group. Their presence changed something, made the men from Rock Springs stand taller, ride more confidently. There was power in being witnessed by those who had survived so much. That night we camped in a hollow between 2 low hills, out of the wind, hidden from easy view. Sam organized watches, 4 men at a time, 2-hour shifts, military precision. Red Skywalker and the elders built their own fire slightly apart from ours, not separate, just distinct, respecting both togetherness and difference. I watched them prepare food, conduct small rituals, pray in their own way. Ayanna sat beside me. We had not spoken much during the day's ride, too focused on movement, survival. But now in the quiet of evening, words came easier. "Red Skywalker says something important," she said. "What's that?" "He says you carry heavy spirit, weight from before, death and guilt." She looked at me. "He is right, yes?" I nodded. No point hiding it. "Washita, 1868. I was there. I was part of it." "The massacre?" "Yes. We were told to attack a hostile camp, but when we got there it was mostly women and children, old men. I didn't shoot. I couldn't. But I didn't stop it either. I just stood there while others killed innocent people." Ayanna was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was careful. "You did not kill them. I didn't save them either. You were one soldier, one man. Could you have stopped the others? No, but I could have tried. Instead I froze, did nothing. Then afterward I ran, left the military, tried to forget. But you can't forget something like that." Is that why you saved us to make up for them? I thought about it. Tried to be honest. Maybe. Partly. But also because it was right. Because I'm tired of being the man who does nothing. I want to be the man who acts, even if it costs me everything. Ayana reached over, took my hand. You are already that man, Gray. You became that man the moment you stopped in the blizzard. Everything since has just been proving what was already true. Across the camp I saw Kaya with the elders. They were teaching her something, a song maybe. Her voice rose and fell with theirs, young and old together, passing down knowledge that had survived centuries. Sam approached, sat down heavily. Scouts are back. They confirm it. Vic and his men, 12 of them, maybe 15 miles behind us. They'll catch us by tomorrow afternoon if we keep this pace. Can we go faster? Not without killing the horses, and if we arrive at Fort Laramie on foot, we're sitting ducks. So we fight. So we fight. Sam looked at the men, his friends, his neighbors. Most of these boys have never killed a man, never been in real combat. Tomorrow might break them. Or make them. Or make them. Sam pulled out a pipe. Tobacco. The smell was comforting somehow. Familiar. You ever wonder why we do this? Why we choose the hard path when the easy path is right there? All the time. Me too. 68 years old. Could be sitting by a fire in my store, safe, comfortable. Instead, I'm camping in the snow, waiting to fight a man who will probably kill me. He lit the pipe. Drew deep. But I wouldn't change it. This right here, right now. This is what makes life mean something. Red Sky Walker approached our fire, sat down without invitation but with complete belonging, spoke in Apache, Running Deer translated. He says tomorrow there will be blood, that he has seen it, that some of us will fall, but those who fall will fall with honor, and honor is a death that matters. Can he see who falls? I asked. Red Sky Walker spoke again, sadder this time. He says he sees himself, that tomorrow is his last day walking this earth, but he is not afraid. He has lived long, seen much. To die fighting for peace is a good death, better than dying in bed wondering if your life meant anything. The old man looked at me directly, spoke without translation, in English, accented but clear. You carry death guilt, Gray Harrison. But let me tell you something about death. Death is not the enemy. Meaningless death is the enemy. Your woman, your child, they died meaningless deaths. Disease, random, cruel. But tomorrow if we die meaning something. We die so others might live in peace. That is not the same. He stood, placed his hand on my shoulder. Forgive yourself. The dead do not want your guilt. They want you to live, really live. You started that in the blizzard. Tomorrow you finish it. He walked back to his fire, left me sitting there with those words burning in my chest. The night deepened. Stars appeared, cold and distant and beautiful. I thought about Sarah, about Emma, about the years I had wasted in grief and isolation, about the life I had thrown away because I believed I did not deserve to live it. But maybe Red Sky Walker was right. Maybe they did not want my guilt. Maybe they wanted me to be the man I should have been. Someone who acts instead of freezes. Someone who chooses courage over paralysis. Kaya appeared, sat beside me, did not speak, just sat, sharing silence. After a while she leaned her head against my shoulder, like a daughter might, like Emma used to. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. I haven't done anything yet. You did the hardest thing. You chose to care. That is where all good things begin. I put my arm around her. This girl who was not my daughter but felt like she could be. This girl who had lost her father just as Emma had lost hers. Maybe we were saving each other. Maybe that was how salvation worked. Not alone. Together. The watch changed. New men took positions. Old men returned to sleep. The camp settled into the quiet breathing rhythm of people resting before battle. I stayed awake, watching the stars, thinking about tomorrow, about what was coming, about who would live and who would die, about whether the peace letter would make it to Fort Laramie, about whether any of this mattered in the grand scheme of things. But then I looked around, at Sam sleeping with his rifle across his chest, at the miners and farmers who had left safety to fight for strangers, at the Apache elders who had ridden into danger to witness peace, at Ayanna and Kaya who trusted me with their lives and their father's dream. It mattered. All of it mattered. Not because we would definitely succeed, but because we had chosen to try. Because in a world that often felt dark and cruel and meaningless, we had chosen to believe in something better, to fight for something larger than ourselves. And that I was learning was what made life worth living. Not success, not safety, not comfort, but the courage to stand for what is right even when the cost is high. Dawn came slow and cold. We broke camp quickly, ate cold food, no fires, no smoke to give away our position. The horses were rested. The men were ready as they would ever be. Red Sky Walker and the elders performed a brief ceremony, singing in Apache, words I did not understand but felt anyway, blessing, preparation, acceptance of what was coming. When they finished, Red Sky Walker approached me one last time, pressed something into my hand, a small stone, turquoise, carved with symbols I could not read. "For protection," he said in English, "not from death. Death comes when it comes. Protection from dying badly, from dying without purpose." I closed my fingers around it, felt its weight, its warmth. "Thank you. Thank me by living, Gray Harrison, by finishing this, by proving that old men like me are right to hope." We mounted, 32 riders, facing east, toward Fort Laramie, toward Victor Malone and his killers, toward whatever fate had prepared. The sun climbed. The temperature rose slightly, still cold, always cold, but the kind of cold you can survive if you keep moving. Around noon, running deer signaled. "They're coming, from the west, fast." I looked back, saw dust, riders, many of them. "Positions," Sam shouted, "just like we practiced." The men moved into formation, a defensive line, rifles ready, the elders and Ayanna and Kaya in the center, protected. This was not their fight, not in the physical sense. The riders appeared, 15 of them. Vic Malone at the front. He saw us, saw our numbers, slowed, stopped at a distance. For a long moment, nothing happened. Two groups facing each other across 200 yards of frozen ground. Then Vic spurred his horse forward. Alone, brave or stupid or both, he stopped 50 yards away, close enough to talk, far enough to run if he needed to. "Gray Harrison," he called. I rode forward, matched his distance. "Vic Malone, you've made this difficult. I respect that. But it's over. Give me the women. Everyone else walks away. You have my word." "Your word isn't worth spit." Vic smiled. "Probably true. But I'm trying to be reasonable here. 15 of us, 30 of you. Seems like a fair fight. But it doesn't have to be a fight at all. Just give me what I came for. They're not cargo. They're people. And they're under my protection. Your protection." Vic laughed. "You're one man, a washed-up soldier playing hero. And your army is a bunch of shopkeepers and old men. Then you should have an easy time killing us." Vic's smile faded. "Last chance, Harrison. Walk away, or die here." I thought about Sarah, about Emma, about all the times I had walked away, all the times I had chosen safety over courage. Not this time. Never again. "Come and try." Vic stared at me, measuring, calculating. Then he turned his horse, rode back to his men. They gathered, talked, made plans. I returned to our line. Sam looked at me. Well, he wants a fight. We're going to give him one. Good. Sam checked his rifle one more time. Been a while since I shot at someone who deserved it. The two lines faced each other, waiting. Time stretched, became thick and heavy. Then Vic raised his hand, dropped it. His men charged, and the world exploded into violence and smoke and the terrible sound of men killing men. In that moment, as bullets tore through the frozen air, I understood what Red Skywalker had meant. This was not just a fight for two women. This was a fight for the soul of what we could become, and we would win it, or die proving it mattered. The first volley shattered the silence, 15 rifles firing at once. The sound was enormous, absolute. It swallowed everything else. The world became nothing but noise and smoke and the whistle of bullets cutting through cold air. Our line held. Sam had trained them well. They did not panic, did not break. They aimed, fired, reloaded, aimed again. Not fast, but steady, methodical. The rhythm of men who understood that survival meant discipline. One of Vic's men fell, then another, hit or just thrown from his horse, I could not tell. But the charge faltered, slowed. They had expected us to scatter, to run. Instead, we stood our ground. Vic shouted orders. His men wheeled, regrouped. This time they split, half circling left, half circling right, trying to flank us, to get behind our line where the elders waited with Ayanna and Kaya. Sam, they're flanking. Sam saw it, shouted commands. Cole, take 10 men left Thomas, 10 men right, hold those flanks. Our line split, reformed. Now we were 3 groups instead of 1, smaller, more vulnerable, but covering all approaches. It was risky, but everything about this was risky. The left flank engaged first, Cole and his miners against 5 of Vic's riders. The miners fought like men defending their homes, because in a way they were. Every bullet fired at Vic's men was a bullet fired at everything Jacob Marsh represented. Greed, cruelty, the belief that money made might right. I saw Cole take aim, fire. One of Vic's men jerked, fell, did not get up. Cole's face showed no triumph, just grim determination. He reloaded, fired again. On the right flank, Thomas and his group were struggling. They were farmers mostly, hunters, not soldiers. One went down, shot in the leg, screaming. Another man dragged him back, applied pressure to the wound. Basic field medicine. Learned from necessity. Vic himself came at the center, at me, at Sam, at Running Deer. He had 5 men with him. They came fast and hard, firing from horseback. Difficult shooting, but dangerous because of the sheer volume. Sam took a bullet to the shoulder, spun, fell. I thought he was dead, but he rolled, came up on one knee, switched his rifle to his left hand, kept firing. The old cavalry soldier showing through, wounded but not beaten. Running Deer moved like water, fluid, unpredictable. He had no gun, just his bow, but that bow sang, arrow after arrow, each one finding its target. He hit a horse, it went down, through its rider. The man landed hard, did not move again. I fired at Vic, missed. He was too good, too experienced. He knew how to make himself a difficult target, how to use his horse, how to stay alive when everyone wanted him dead. Behind me I heard Ayanna shout. I turned. 3 of Vic's men had broken through, were charging the center where the elders protected the women. Red Skywalker stepped forward, unarmed, fragile, ancient. The first rider raised his rifle, aimed at Red Skywalker. I screamed, tried to turn, tried to stop it. The rifle fired. Red Skywalker fell. Something inside me broke. This old man who had shown me kindness, who had given me hope, who had said he saw his own death coming and was not afraid. He lay in the snow, blood spreading beneath him, still breathing, but not for long. Rage filled me, pure and hot and clarifying. I spurred my horse, charged the 3 riders, did not think, did not plan, just acted. I fired, hit the first man in the chest. He flew backward off his horse. The second man turned his rifle toward me. Kaya's arrow took him in the throat before he could fire. He clutched his neck, made a terrible sound, fell. The third man tried to run. Ayana threw her knife. It spun through the air, buried itself in his back between the shoulder blades. He arched, slid from his saddle, did not get up. I dismounted, ran to Red Skywalker, knelt beside him. The other elders gathered. They knew. I knew. This wound was fatal. The bullet had taken him in the chest. Blood frothed on his lips, lung shot, minutes left, maybe less. He looked up at me, smiled, actually smiled. "Good death," he whispered in English. "Died protecting peace, died watching brave men stand for right thing, died with honor." "You're not dying," I said. Stupid thing to say. We both knew better. Already dead, just taking time to finish. He reached up, touched my face. "You have warrior heart, Gray Harrison. Tell story. Tell people old Apache died happy, died seeing hope." His hand fell. His eyes stayed open but saw nothing. Red Skywalker was gone. The other elders began to sing, a death song, low and mournful and beautiful. They sang him to whatever came next, honored his passing even as bullets still flew around us. I stood, looked at Vic, at his remaining men, counted quickly. 8 left. We had lost 4, wounded 5 more. But we still outnumbered them. And something had changed. Vic's men saw it. The fight had gone out of them. They had signed up to hunt 2 women. Easy money, quick job. This was supposed to be simple. Instead, they faced an army, and that army was winning. One of Vic's men dropped his rifle, raised his hands. "I'm done, I quit." Another did the same. "Me too. This isn't worth it." 3 more followed. Just like that, half of Vic's remaining force surrendered, climbed down from their horses, knelt in the snow, hands on their heads. That left Vic and 3 men, true believers, or just too stupid to know when they were beaten. Vic looked around, saw his situation. For the first time, something like fear crossed his face. He had always been the hunter, never the hunted. The role reversal confused him. "This isn't over," he shouted. "Marsh will send more men. You can't protect them forever." "We don't need forever," I called back. "We just need 2 more days." Vic raised his rifle, aimed at me. I saw his finger tighten on the trigger, knew I had no time to dodge, no time to do anything but accept it. The shot rang out, but it was not Vic's rifle. It was someone else, someone behind him. Vic jerked forward, looked down at his chest. Blood bloomed there. He looked confused, like he could not understand how this had happened, how he could be shot. He was Victor Malone. He did not lose. He fell from his horse, hit the ground, did not move. Behind where he had been a rider sat on horseback. Smoke rose from his rifle barrel. As he came closer, I recognized him. Marshal Henry Coulter. He was older than I expected, mid-50s, gray in his beard, but his eyes were sharp, and his badge gleamed in the winter sun. 4 deputies rode with him. They had been tracking Vic, following the violence, trying to catch up before more people died. They had arrived just in time. Coulter rode to the center, looked at the dead, at the wounded, at the surrendered men kneeling in the snow. His face showed no emotion, just the flat assessment of a lawman who had seen too much death. "I'm Marshal Henry Coulter out of Fort Laramie. Someone want to tell me what the hell is happening here?" Sam stepped forward, bleeding from his shoulder but upright. "Marshal, these men attacked us. We defended ourselves." "Why were they attacking?" "Because Jacob Marsh paid them to kill 2 Apache women carrying a peace letter." Coulter's eyes narrowed. "Peace letter." Ayana stepped forward, pulled out the rolled hide. "From my father, Chief Nantan, offering terms for peace. There is a conference at Fort Laramie tomorrow. This letter must be there." Coulter took the letter, unrolled it, read. His face changed as he read. Something shifted behind his eyes. When he looked up, he looked at Ayanna differently, with respect. "This is real." "Yes. Your father is dead. 3 days ago." Coulter handed the letter back carefully. "Then this is his last testament, his final gift to his people." He looked at his deputies. "We're escorting these people to Fort Laramie. Anyone tries to stop us answers to federal law." One of the surrendered men spoke up. "Marshal, we were just doing a job. Marsh hired us." "Then Jacob Marsh hired you to commit murder, and you accepted. That makes you accomplices." Coulter gestured to his deputies. "Bind them. They'll face trial." As the deputies worked, Coulter approached me, studied the badge on my chest. Sam's son's badge. "You a lawman?" "No, sir. This belonged to a good man. I'm just borrowing it." "You wear it well." He looked around at our group, at the miners and farmers and shopkeepers. "You did good here, held your ground, fought for something that mattered. That's what the law is supposed to do. You did the law's job better than most lawmen I know." "We lost people, good people. War always costs. The question is whether the cost buys something worth having. Today it did." I walked back to Red Skywalker's body. The elders had covered him with a blanket. They stood in a circle around him, still singing. Kaya had joined them, her voice rising and falling with theirs, learning their ways, honoring their loss. Ayanna stood apart, watching. Her face showed no tears, but her eyes held oceans of sadness. This old man had come to help her, had died protecting her father's dream. That weight would stay with her forever. I stood beside her, did not speak, just stood. Sometimes presence is all you can offer. "He knew," she said quietly. "He told us he would die today. He chose to come anyway." That's courage. That's love. He loved my father, loved the idea of peace, loved it enough to die for it. She looked at me. "Do you think it will work? The peace conference? Will my father's letter matter?" "I don't know. But Red Skywalker thought it would. That has to count for something." We buried Red Skywalker there, on the plain where he fell. The elders sang over his grave, placed stones in a circle, spoke prayers I did not understand but felt deeply anyway. When they finished, we stood in silence, letting the cold wind take our grief and carry it away. Sam's shoulder was bandaged by Ruth. Yes, Ruth had ridden out from Rock Springs with supplies and medical knowledge. Of course she had. That woman was braver than any soldier I had ever known. She worked quickly, efficiently, cleaning wounds, stitching cuts, setting broken bones. The wounded men bore it stoically. They had earned their pain, paid for it with courage. Coulter organized the march. His deputies took charge of the prisoners. The rest of us formed a column, wounded in the middle, strong on the outside, military formation, protection. We rode on. Fort Laramie was 40 miles away, one hard day. We could make it before dark if we pushed, and we would push. We had come too far to stop now. As we rode, Kaya moved her horse beside mine. "Gray. Yes, Red Skywalker, just before he died. He told me something." "What?" "He said you remind him of a warrior from old stories, a warrior who was lost, who believed he had failed, but who found his way back by choosing to protect instead of destroy." She looked at me. "He said you found your way back, that you are not lost anymore." I did not know what to say, so I just nodded. Let her words settle into the places inside me that had been empty for so long. The sun began its descent. The temperature dropped. Our breath became visible, white clouds in cold air. But we kept riding, driven by something larger than comfort, by purpose, by the knowledge that tomorrow at Fort Laramie, Ayanna and Kaya would stand before soldiers and politicians and speak words their father had written, words that might save lives, might prevent war, might prove that peace was possible even when everything suggested otherwise. As darkness fell, we saw lights ahead. Fort Laramie, The wooden walls, the American flag snapping in the wind, civilization, safety, the end of our journey. We rode through the gates as the sun disappeared completely. Soldiers watched us pass. This strange group, white and Apache, young and old, wounded and whole, united by something they could not quite understand but recognized as important. Coulter led us to the commander's building. General George Crook waited there, a hard man, a fighter, but also a man known for keeping his word. If anyone would listen to Nantan's letter, it was Crook. Ayanna and Kaya dismounted, stood before the general, two young Apache women, exhausted, dirty, but unbowed, unbroken. They carried themselves with such dignity that even the hardened soldiers around them stood straighter. Ayanna unrolled the letter, began to read, first in Apache, then in English. Her voice was clear, strong, her father's words flowing through her, across time, across death, reaching into the future to plant seeds of hope. When she finished, silence filled the room. General Crook stood, walked to Ayanna, looked down at the letter. "Your father was a brave man, an honorable man. I fought against him, but I respected him." He took the letter. "I will present this to the conference tomorrow. I cannot promise they will accept, but I promise they will hear it, and I will recommend acceptance." Ayanna bowed her head. "That is all we ask, that they listen, that my father's voice is heard one last time." Crook nodded, looked at me, at Sam, at our wounded, weary group. "You men did something remarkable. You proved that ordinary people can stand for extraordinary things. The Army thanks you. The country thanks you. I thank you." We were given quarters, food, medical care, everything the fort could provide. We ate hot food for the first time in days, slept in warm beds, let exhaustion claim us at last. But even in sleep I saw Red Skywalker falling, saw the blood in the snow, heard his last words, "Good death, died happy. Tell the story." I would tell the story. I would make sure people knew what he did, what all of them did. Sam and his volunteers, the elders who witnessed, everyone who chose courage over comfort. Because that was the story worth telling. Not about violence, not about death, but about how courage transforms lives in ways we never imagine. Through choosing to stand when they could have run, through believing that peace was worth fighting for. And tomorrow, in a room full of soldiers and politicians, Ayanna would prove her father right, would show them that peace was not weakness, that choosing dialogue over destruction was the truest form of strength. We had made it, against impossible odds, through violence and loss and sacrifice. We had made it to Fort Laramie. Now we would see if it was worth it. The conference room at Fort Laramie was larger than I expected. High ceilings, windows letting in cold winter light, a long table in the center where men of power would sit and decide the fate of thousands. The room smelled of wood smoke and old paper and the weight of decisions that would echo through generations. General Crook stood at the head of the table. Beside him, 3 other officers, 2 men in civilian clothes who I learned were representatives from Washington, and 1 empty chair, reserved for the Apache voice, for Ayanna. We sat along the walls, observers, witnesses, Sam beside me, Ruth on his other side, Running Deer standing near the door, Kaya with the remaining Apache elders, Marshal Coulter and his deputies, the miners and farmers who had fought and bled to make this moment possible. The room filled slowly. More officers, a territorial governor, a man who introduced himself as a journalist from the New York Tribune, everyone finding their places, everyone understanding they were present for something that might matter. When all were assembled, General Crook called the room to order. His voice carried authority earned through decades of command. "Gentlemen and lady," he nodded to Ayanna, "we are here to consider a proposal for peace, not a surrender, not a treaty of defeat, but an honest offer from Chief Nantan of the Mescalero Apache. A man I fought against, a man I respected, a man who in his final days chose hope over despair. He gestured to Ayanna. His daughter will speak for him. She has traveled far, risked much, earned the right to be heard. I ask that you listen with open minds and open hearts. Ayanna stood. She had cleaned up, wore traditional Apache clothing that the elders had brought, beaded leather, turquoise jewelry, her hair braided. She looked like what she was, a chief's daughter, royalty of a people who had ruled these lands for centuries before white men arrived. She walked to the empty chair, did not sit, stood behind it, hands resting on the back, gathering herself. When she spoke, her voice filled the room. My father, Chief Nantan, died believing peace was possible. Not easy, not simple, but possible. She unrolled the letter. These are his final words, written in his own hand, in blood and hope, and the desperate prayer that his children might live in a world with less war. She read the letter, every word. In Apache first, then English. Running Deer translated for those who needed it. But the meaning needed no translation. It was clear in every phrase. Nantan proposed specific terms. Land for the Apache. Defined boundaries. No forced relocation. In exchange, no raids. No attacks. Peaceful coexistence. Trade. Cultural exchange. A future where children of both peoples might grow up without fear. When she finished, the room was silent. Men shifted in their chairs. Some looked uncomfortable. Others, thoughtful. The Washington representatives whispered to each other. Finally, one of them spoke. Miss Nantan, these terms are generous, but they require trust. How can we trust that your people will honor them? Before Ayanna could answer, Sam stood. If I may speak, sir. Crook nodded. Proceed. Sam stepped forward. I'm Samuel Whitmore, shopkeeper in Rock Springs, former cavalry. I fought Apache 20 years ago, lost friends to Apache raids, had every reason to hate them. He looked at Ayanna and Kaya. But these two women, they changed my understanding. They showed me that Apache are not some faceless enemy. They are people, with families, with dreams, with fathers who love their daughters enough to die hoping for peace. He turned to face the room. We brought them here. 20 ordinary men from Rock Springs. We fought against 15 hired killers who wanted them dead. We fought because we believed Chief Nantan's letter deserved to be heard. 4 good men died to make this moment happen. 1 Apache elder gave his life protecting them. His voice grew stronger. So when you ask about trust, I say this. Trust was earned in blood on a frozen plain 2 days ago. Trust was earned by people who chose peace over profit. If we ordinary citizens can trust them, why can't you? Murmurs ran through the room. Sam's words had weight, not because of eloquence, but because of simple earned truth. One of the officers, a colonel, spoke up. But what about Jacob Marsh? He claims there is copper on Apache land, valuable resources. Are we supposed to ignore American economic interests? Marshal Coulter stood. Sir, I arrested 8 men yesterday, all employed by Jacob Marsh, all attempting to murder these women to prevent this peace offer. Marsh hired Victor Malone, a known criminal, to commit that murder. I have signed confessions from 3 of them. He pulled papers from his coat. Marsh's economic interests include bribing officials operating unsafe mines that have killed workers and now conspiracy to murder. Should we really be protecting those interests? The Washington representative looked uncomfortable. That is a serious accusation, Marshal. Which is why I'm making it officially. I've sent a telegram to the Justice Department. Federal marshals are arresting Jacob Marsh as we speak. His assets will be frozen pending investigation. A different kind of silence fell. Political calculation. If Marsh was going to be arrested anyway, if his influence was collapsing, then opposing this peace deal became less necessary, less profitable. Crook seized the moment. Gentlemen, I have fought Apache for 15 years. I know their courage, their skill, their determination. We can fight them for another 15 years, spend millions of dollars, lose thousands of lives on both sides. Or we can accept this offer, honor Chief Nantan's sacrifice, give peace a chance. The territorial governor leaned forward. General, if we accept these terms, will you enforce them? Will the Army protect Apache land? I will, on my honor as an officer and a man. And if there are violations by either side, then I will address them, fairly, justly. The law will apply equally. Ayanna spoke again. My father did not ask for charity. He asked for justice, for the right to live on our ancestral land, to raise our children in peace, to trade with neighbors instead of fighting them. Her voice broke slightly. He died for this dream. Others have died protecting it. Please, do not let those deaths be meaningless. Kaya stood, moved to stand beside her sister. I am young. I do not have my sister's strength or my father's wisdom. But I know this. War has taken everything from us. My father, my home, my childhood. I do not want my children to lose the same things. Please, give us peace. Give us hope. Give us tomorrow. The journalist from New York was writing furiously. This was the story of the century. Apache princesses pleading for peace. Ordinary citizens fighting for justice. Corrupt businessmen exposed. It had everything. The Washington representatives huddled, whispered. Finally one stood. We cannot make final decisions here. This must go to Washington, to the president, but we can make recommendations. And what will you recommend? Crook asked. The man looked at Ayanna, at Kaya, at the assembled witnesses, at the weight of history pressing down on this moment. We will recommend acceptance, with General Crook as enforcer and Marshal Coulter as liaison. We will recommend that Chief Nantan's vision be given a chance. Relief flooded the room. Not celebration. Too many had died for celebration. But relief. The desperate, exhausted relief of people who had fought impossible odds and somehow impossibly won. Crook stood, extended his hand to Ayanna. Your father would be proud. Ayanna took his hand, shook it, warrior to warrior, leader to leader. He is proud, wherever he watches from. The conference dissolved into smaller conversations, details to be worked out, boundaries to be defined, trade terms to negotiate. But the hard part was done. The yes had been spoken. Everything else was just logistics. I found myself outside, needing air, needing space to process what we had accomplished. The fort yard was busy, soldiers drilling, wagons being loaded, the ordinary business of military life continuing regardless of the extraordinary things happening inside. Kaya found me there. Gray, I turned. You did it, you and your sister, you made them listen. We did not do it alone. You carried us here. Sam and his men fought for us. Red Skywalker died for us. This victory belongs to all of us. Victory. I tested the word. It felt strange, unfamiliar. I'm not sure I know what to do with victory. I've spent so long running from defeat. Then stop running. Stay. Build something with us. Build what? A future. A better one. One where Apache and white people trade instead of fight. Where children play together. Where old wounds heal. She took my hand. My sister, she cares for you. I see it. She tries to hide it. But I see. I looked back at the building. Through the window I could see Ayanna talking with Crook. Animated. Passionate. Fighting for details that would protect her people. She was magnificent. I'm 20 years older than her, I said. Different worlds, different lives. Age is just time. Worlds can be bridged. Lives can be joined. Kaya smiled. Besides, you are not as different as you think. You both carry the weight of dead fathers. You both fight for something larger than yourselves. You both chose courage when fear was easier. Before I could respond, Ayanna emerged, saw us, walked over. She looked exhausted but triumphant. It is done. The terms are agreed. pending Washington approval. But Crook says that is formality. We have peace. Your father's peace, I said. Our peace, yours, mine, everyone who fought for it. She looked at me, really looked at me. What will you do now, Gray Harrison? Go back to your cabin, back to being alone. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. Think about it. Her voice was soft. Think about staying, about building something new, about not being alone anymore. She walked away, back inside, leaving me standing there with Kaya, my heart pounding, my mind racing. Time passed. Days became weeks. The peace terms went to Washington, came back approved with minor modifications. The Mescalero Apache were granted territorial rights. Boundaries were established. Trade routes opened. General Crook took personal responsibility for enforcement. Jacob Marsh was arrested, tried, convicted of conspiracy and bribery, his assets seized, his mine closed pending safety investigations. Rock Springs slowly began to heal from his poisonous influence. Sam and Ruth became heroes. The story spread. The shopkeeper and his wife who stood against corruption, who risked everything for strangers. The New York Tribune ran a full-page article. Other papers picked it up. They received letters from across the country. Support, gratitude, recognition that ordinary people could be extraordinary. Marshal Coulter was promoted, given authority over territorial peace enforcement. He took the job seriously, visited Apache lands regularly, mediated disputes fairly, became trusted by both sides, and I stayed at Fort Laramie initially, helped with the transition, translated when needed, served as liaison between military and Apache, found myself useful in ways I had not imagined. 6 months after the conference, I rode into Apache territory, not as soldier, not as enemy, as guest, as friend, as someone invited. The camp was beautiful, nestled in a valley, water running clear, children playing, women working hides and cooking, men hunting and training horses. Life continuing as it had for generations, but with new additions. Trade goods from white settlements, metal tools, cloth, evidence of peaceful exchange. Ayanna saw me arrive. She had been teaching a group of young women, warrior training. She dismissed them, walked to me. She wore traditional clothing, leather dress, beaded moccasins, turquoise at her throat. Beautiful. You came. You invited me. I did, 6 months ago. I wondered if you would remember. I remember everything you say. She smiled. Come, I will show you what we have built. She led me through the camp, showed me schools where Apache children learned reading and writing, trading posts where goods flowed both ways, gardens where new crops grew alongside traditional ones, peace made visible, made real. That evening we sat by a fire, just us. Kaya had taken the children to another fire, given us space, deliberate privacy. Your sister is subtle as a hammer, I said. Ayanna laughed. She means well. She wants me to be happy. Are you happy? I am content. My people are safe. My father's dream lives. That is enough. Is it? She looked at me. Fire reflected in her dark eyes. No, not completely. There is something missing. What? You. The word hung between us. Simple, direct, true. I am 20 years older, I said, broken in ways you cannot see, carrying ghosts you do not need. I do not want a perfect man. I want a good man, a brave man, a man who chose to save strangers in a blizzard when he could have ridden away. You are that man. Your people, they will not accept. My people respect courage and honor. You have both. They will accept what I choose. The question is, what you choose. I looked at her. This woman who had changed everything, who had given me purpose when I had none, hope when I had lost it, a future when I thought mine was behind me. I choose you, if you will have me. She moved closer, took my hand. I have had you since the moment you wrapped me in your coat in the blizzard. I just waited for you to realize it. We sat by that fire long into the night, talking, planning, imagining what our life could be. Not easy. Mixed marriages never were. But real. Built on respect and shared struggle and the knowledge that we had survived impossible things together. A year later we married, both Apache ceremony and Christian, honoring both worlds. Kaya stood with Ayanna. Sam stood with me. Running Deer performed the Apache rites. A chaplain from Fort Laramie performed the Christian ones. Two peoples, two traditions, one union. We built a house on the boundary, half on Apache land, half on territory land. Symbolic. We lived between worlds, translated, mediated, helped others see what we had learned. That different did not mean enemy, that peace was possible if people chose it. Kaya became the tribe's primary healer, learned from the elders, from Ruth, from medical books Crook provided. She saved lives, earned respect that transcended cultural boundaries. Running Deer lived to old age, died peacefully in his sleep. We buried him next to Red Sky Walker on the plain where the battle had occurred. Two good men, two warriors for peace, their graves marked by stones that travelers still visit. Sam and Ruth lived another 20 years, died within months of each other, could not bear to be apart. We buried them in Rock Springs. The whole town attended, Apache and white together, honoring two people who had shown everyone what courage looked like. As for me, I found something I thought I had lost forever. Purpose, family, love. Not the love I had with Sarah. Different, but equally real, equally deep. Ayanna gave me 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. I taught them everything, how to shoot, how to track, how to survive, but also how to choose peace, how to stand for what is right, how to be brave when fear is easier. They grew up in a world their grandfather dreamed of, where Apache and white children played together, where old hatreds faded, where peace was not perfect, but was possible. I am old now, gray in name and appearance. My hands shake, my eyes dim, but my memory is clear. I remember every moment of that journey. The blizzard, the cabin, the ride to Fort Laramie, the battle, the conference, all of it. And I tell the stories, to my children, my grandchildren, to anyone who will listen. Stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, stories of courage and sacrifice, and the simple choice to do right when wrong is easier. I tell them about Red Sky Walker, about Sam and Ruth, about Running Deer and Kaya and all the miners and farmers who stood up when they could have stayed down. And I tell them about Ayanna, about a woman who carried her father's dream through blood and snow and violence, who never wavered, never quit, who proved that one person choosing courage can change the world. The peace we fought for lasted, not perfectly. There were violations, disputes, moments when it almost broke, but Crook kept his word. Coulter enforced justice fairly, and slowly, painfully it held. Other tribes saw, asked for similar terms. Gradually the endless cycle of war and reprisal slowed, then stopped. Not everywhere, but in enough places to matter. Was it worth it? The death, the pain, the sacrifice. I asked Red Skywalker that once, the night before he died. He said, "A good death is one that buys something worth having. Peace is worth having. So yes, it is worth it." He was right. I am dying now. I feel it. The slow winding down, the body giving up its grip on life. But I am not afraid. I have lived, really lived, not just existed, not just survived, but mattered, made a difference, stood for something. Ayanna sits beside my bed, holds my hand. She is old too, but still beautiful, still strong. The warrior chief's daughter who stole the heart of a broken soldier. Do you have regrets? She asks. Only one. That I did not stop in that blizzard sooner. That I wasted 5 years before I found you. She smiles. You found me when you were ready. When we were both ready. Perfect timing. My children are here. My grandchildren. Gathered around. Saying goodbye. I see Sarah in them somehow. And Emma. And Nanton. And all the people who made this moment possible. Tell them, I whisper to Ayana. Tell them the story. How one decision in a blizzard changed everything. I will. We all will. Your story will live. I close my eyes. Feel the cold coming. But it is not the terrible cold of that Wyoming blizzard. It is the gentle cold of letting go, of finishing, of rest earned. My last thought is of that moment, kneeling in the snow beside 2 dying women, having 30 seconds to decide, and choosing kindness over safety, choosing courage over fear, choosing to be the man Sarah always believed I could be. That choice gave me everything: family, purpose, love, redemption. One choice, one moment. Everything changed. And as I slip away, I hear Red Skywalker's voice, welcoming me, telling me I earned a good death, that I did not die badly, that my life mattered. Thank you, old friend. Thank you all for teaching me that it is never too late, that broken men can be healed, that peace is worth fighting for, that love can bloom even in the coldest winter. Thank you for the blizzard that brought me home,